So to the Jets Life podcast. The Jets just wrapped up their week with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and a lot of good stuff to come out of that game. A couple of not so great things to come out of the game from this past weekend. Obviously, Zach Wilson got the start in this last game against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Played efficient again. Had a couple of good plays. The one area that I think that the Jets could have really helped build Zach's confidence is it seemed like in the red zone they started to play conservative for whatever reason with a couple of screen passes, especially after that long run that he had, the 35-yard run to the outside. He was playing pretty well. I would just like for them to challenge him a little bit. But again, he's building confidence, so I'm no coach, nor do I intend on being one. But I would just like them to kind of take that extra step in building his confidence by having him take a shot at the end zone. It could have been a conservative shot where it was one-on-one coverage, but and maybe that was built into the play calling, and he was just kind of playing conservative on his own right. But that's the one area from Zach's game that I would have probably liked to see them take a little, take a little shot here and there, at least in one of those red zone trips would have been ideal. Um, Brownlee had a good game, but the biggest thing I wanted to get to from this game was Mekhi Becton. He has continued to roll in this preseason. This is his second game playing in 25 snaps, and we kind of looked at the whole approach to training camp and the whole approach to the offseason. And from my perspective, at least, I looked at it with major question marks. Um, I think we can all look at this offensive line and the players on it, and we all could could say that Mekhi Becton is one of the top five individuals that can play on the offensive line. You could put AVT over him. You could put Dwayne Brown if you want to say he's a left tackle. Um, and a lot of other I mean, Lakin had a down year last year. I think it's very fair to say that Mekhi Becton is entrenched into that top five of offensive linemen. So when he went through the training camp, through the off season, and he wasn't getting first team reps, and he wasn't playing with the starters in some of these preseason games, um, you started to wonder what the issue was there. And there was a recent report, I believe by Rich Cimini, where this whole entire projection for Mekhi Becton from from training camp through the offseason was all it was all the plan for his recovery and for his projection to start week one. It doesn't mean he's a starter, but I think that's probably the smartest route for this coaching staff to go with. But this whole everything that has led to him playing right tackle this week and starting at right tackle eventually. This was all part of the process for him to get to that point. So, and this is all doctor prescribed. Dr. Neil Elatrosh, who we might remember his name. He was the doctor who performed surgery on Zach Wilson's meniscus last year. He was also the doctor who repaired Mekhi Becton's right knee. So he has given the guidance, and the Jets have followed that guidance as far as how to get him first off playing enough snaps, playing enough reps, and that's where he started on the left side. And where we heard those reports from Mekhi Becton that early in the offseason about playing right side is what caused his knee injury. That kind of obviously it wasn't the smartest approach, smartest thing to say, but you can see by the way that this report came out is the Jets were kind of given the information to let him get comfortable on the left side. Once he's comfortable enough, then you can eventually transition him to the right side. Once he's more comfortable and has a little more confidence in that knee, then he can play at that position at a more comfortable and more efficient level. So it clarity comes, through time, and obviously, like, things are a lot more clearer with this whole situation. I cannot see a situation where Mekhi Becton is not the starting right tackle, especially opening game of the season. We have to keep Aaron Rodgers upright, and I don't think Billy Hunter on the right side is going to be the most reliable option for that, and definitely doesn't come as a better option than Mekhi Becton. Um, so definitely positive news there. And just wanted to get into a couple of negatives from the game, with as far as injuries are related. Izzy Abanikanda, who's been having a great training camp and preseason, um, was uh was helped off the field in the preseason game. Hate to see that because we just added to the running back room, and we all had that vision of what does running back room look like, who's the odd man out, and nothing's been released yet as far as where the injury prognosis is, or at least at the point of this recording, nothing's been released to this point in time. But if anything, you know, obviously this gives the Jets a little more flexibility as far as the 53-man roster is concerned, that they might be able to, keep the amount of running backs, keep Bam Knight on the roster, which was Michael Carter, two guys that we were all kind of considering as far as who's on the bubble. Izzy was kind of the one that was kind of stuck in the roster because we just drafted him. You had Brees Hall, obviously Dalvin Cook, who we just signed. All these guys were, sticking as the top three running backs. It was about who's the fourth guy. It was coming down to Carter and Bam, but with Izzy's injury, maybe it gives the Jets that flexibility to keep all four of those guys with Izzy and move into the season with all these running backs, and then have to make that decision at a later point in time once Izzy recovers, depending on what the injury is. Tipman also left the game. No indications as what the injury is there. I like to believe, if it was something catastrophic, we would have heard something by now. But you know, it could also be, it's a bad injury and they're taking a look into it. But I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm hoping that, both these guys have a quick recovery and they're back as soon as possible because, we all know this is a big season coming up and we can use all the bodies that we can get. And the last thing I want to get to, some big news that came up during this during this weekend. Aaron Rodgers is going to be starting. Will get his debut start this Saturday against the New York Giants. Um, Another reason why I think that we really got to get this offensive line kind of thing squared away. I don't think that the Jets would really kind of make that call to start Aaron Rodgers unless they felt the offensive line was in tip top shape, meaning Dwayne Brown on the left side, you know, um, ABT coming back, Lakin coming back, who missed time. McGovern he always plays. I'm not ever worried about him starting. He's basically been a starter ever since the day he signed. I don't know if he's missed many games in his tenure as a Jet. And then the right side, I'm sorry, coming down to what I would think would be a start for Mekhi Becton, and really getting this offense comfortable from a live game perspective. A lot of nightmare type of situation here. Ever since the report came out, there's been a lot of people on Jets swear, rightfully so, as far as Aaron Rodgers starting, and myself included. It's definitely a cause for concern, a cause for stress. But at the end of the day, if Rodgers is playing and gets injured, what's to say that wouldn't happen during the regular season either? You would hate to see that happen during a preseason game. The Jets have not had luck against the Giants with potential starting quarterbacks. Chad Pennington missed significant time after 2002 season where we won the division. He missed some significant time that following season. I want to say it was like 7 or 8 games or something like that, with that wrist injury he had. And then, obviously, in the year that Sanchez and Gino were going head to head for the starting job, Sanchez played pretty late into the game behind a makeshift offensive line and suffered an injury that ended his season eventually, because Geno Smith would get off to a pretty decent start and end up being our season long starter. So, obviously, being Jeff fans, we look at the past. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not gonna be anything critical. I think Rodgers probably gonna play, like, 2 series, if that even, just to get a little, kinda a little camaraderie with the offense versus another defense in a live game situation, with those situational perspective at that. So, I really don't think this is gonna be a major deal. I could be wrong, knock on wood. It's just a quick couple series, and he's done with it, and the Jets can move on and get ready for the regular season. So, you know, all in all, let's get ready for this last preseason game. Let's start getting our eyes towards that Buffalo game. Looking forward to the start of the regular season with with this great team. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the season with all you guys rooting. for our Jets. Let's go and have a great year. Thank you.